conviction that keep up the policy that currently is out at Mayor's Trust. Thank you.
Reach out to the Lake County General Health District, and you got some information from Mr. Graham, who's the director, and I didn't memorize it, nor did I bring it with me, but I thought that there was a point that you asked, how many of the people who were quarantined actually ended up being symptomatic? I don't have that answer. Okay. Okay, with respect to those moving from quarantine to positive cases, there were 7 quarantine cases that had ultimately tested positive. And so that would be inclusive of the county. So I'm not sure how we're proceeding exactly, but I guess during the public portion, there were questions about what it is that we do, and from a board perspective, and what our roles and responsibilities are, and so I thought I would remind us of the oath we take. We can't actually take our seats until we actually take an oath, and the oath goes as follows. I solemnly swear or affirm that I support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Ohio, and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge my duties as a member of the Board of Education of the Riverside School District, Lake County, Ohio, to the best of my ability and in accordance with the laws now in effect and hereafter to be enacted. And so we're here as people who have taken an oath to uphold the Constitution. So we're not here to represent things. And for the Declaration of Independence, I'd just like to say, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, and among these are the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, government is instituted among men. Again, to secure these rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. So earlier there was a question as to, what is the board about? What is it that we are here to do? Well, we're really here to defend the Constitution and implement the Constitution and to make sure that your constitutional rights are not violated. Additionally, we are here to be a sanity check, right? So this is the situation.
Why do you have a political action group?
We are here to be in a situation where we are a sanity check. We have, I guess I put it like this. Would we let the military determine how much money they needed and whether or not to go to war? Of course not. Would we let the sheriff determine how much money he needed and whether or not to set up checkpoints at every intersection to make sure that people were safe? The answer is no. There's a balance. We are here to be the sanity check on what quote-unquote experts do. Mr. Riley has an education background, but the other four do not. So we interact with the board, with Mr. Kalis and Mr. Klatko and some of the other members of the administration, and we have a very good and solid dynamic. We have come a long way in the 10 years that I've been on the board, but we are here to represent the community. We're here to make sure that there's a reason, there's sanity check, right? So that applies to the medical realm as well. We would never, just as we never give carte blanche to the military, we would never give carte blanche to the sheriff. We should never give carte blanche to anyone, right? We are divided, and I'm so sorry for that. But with the policy that we have in place, I believe that we have threaded the needle as best we can. Everybody who wants to wear a mask and get vaccinated is able to do that. everybody who doesn't has the option not to. It doesn't get any more clear to me than that, and that's, I see that as the best we're going to be able to do. But I do want to just talk a little bit about, so you might say, well, gosh, these people, it sounds like I'll try to be quick because I don't want to overdo my welcome here. But from a perspective, who am I? So we are all very fortunate to have been elected by you to be on the Riverside School Board. But what does that really mean? What background and experience can we bring to the table? Well, we all have varied backgrounds, and we are very analytical. But here's my background. I'm a Riverside graduate. I have a BS in chemistry from Miami University and an MBA from Case. I was a chemist for 4 years and a passenger car motor oil formulator for a very large chemical company here in Lake County. I was an IT project manager for 21 years, working for the Department of Defense. I helped raise 2 kids, both of whom graduated from Riverside. I served in the Navy Reserve for 21 years, including a year in Iraq. I've been involved with the Salvation Army. So it's not, we all have various backgrounds, but we bring to the table experience. We bring to the table understanding. And that needs to be brought to bear in all facets that affect the district, whether it be education and whether it be medical, because frankly, there's a lot of things going on with the medical treatment of the coronavirus since we've been moving forward that frankly don't make sense to a lot of people, and that's where we're at.
In the matter of proposing a masking policy at Riverside School District, I would like to be clear that the Board of Education is a non-political body. Our members are not medical experts, scientists, nor are we given legislative powers to create or enforce laws in the state of Ohio. As a board member, one of our jobs is to ensure that the district implements policies and practices that allow students to engage fully in educational endeavors every day. In these unprecedented times, it should be our goal to ensure that students have the ability to remain in school, in person, every day, without interruption. I do not believe that anyone presents an argument against that goal this evening. If the common goal of in-person attendance can be at the greatest success without interruption through a mask mandate, which would alleviate quarantine issues to the greatest degree, then it should stand that this can be the only solution to the question at hand. While there may be compelling arguments, both positive and negative, on the efficacy of masks, that is not the matter placed before this board, and I am not here to offer my opinion in that arena. The only question we have is if we have the ability to control the risk of quarantine among our student body. And the answer is clearly that we do have that ability. With the universal masking policy, we will be able to minimize as much as possible the time students will be at risk of quarantine, but of course that's only applicable to close contact tracing within a school setting. We cannot be responsible for what students are exposed to or their masking requirements outside of the walls of our facilities. Because of the quarantine policies and rules that are in place in our county at this time, I will ask that a temporary universal masking resolution be placed on our agenda with the requirement that the policy be in effect beginning Monday, September 20th and ending on December 31st, 2021. At that time, you may actually have a newly elected board who will be sworn in, and those members may have the ability to vote to continue or discontinue that policy. If this measure passes, further discussion can be had regarding the use of exemptions and how those should be applied and decided upon. If the measure fails, then there is no need for that discussion. It is my hope that no matter the outcome of the vote, that the members of this board will move forward in support of the board's decision-making process. I will also hope that the community will respect the decision of the board without disruption and understand that the process was duly carried out in the manner in which it was required.
There you go.
that, then Mrs. Grassi, have you made a motion to a possible resolution regarding opposed masking?
Yes, I have done that, thank you.
Someone going to make a second?
I'll second it.
With that, Mr. Clark, call the roll, please. Or, sorry, is there further discussion? Yeah, lots of discussion, that's right.
Yes, ma'am. So,
We are in a situation, sorry, that's really loud. We are in a situation where we need to understand and respect the rights of people to make a choice. No one in the current circumstance, no one loses their rights. In the circumstance that we're talking about, at least, we're going to call it, for easy math, we'll call it 15% of the students are masked, 85% of them will be losing their rights. My observation when I went to the schools, I went to 3 schools on Monday. I was able to tour the campus, I was able to tour Vermouth, and I went to Parkside as well. And the numbers actually seem to be accurate, that Dr. Kalis quoted before. It did seem to be that fewer teachers were masked than was indicated, but maybe it was just the schools I was at. I agree that we have a problem with the quarantine to a certain extent, but I think the answer to the quarantine is to treat the situation we are in as endemic. Not pandemic, it's endemic. So Dr. Kalis, again, as I mentioned, did reach out to Mr. Ron Graham with the Lake County General Health District, and he asked the question, with respect to those moving from quarantine to positive case, we are aware of 7 quarantine cases that have ultimately tested positive. Again, the reporting is highly irregular. So all of our data is irregular because the state and the reporting process is unreliable, and we have PCR tests which are unreliable. We have several issues, but at this point, 7 of the quarantine cases have gone positive. I'm assuming that's for the county. I don't know the full number of the county. If we have 243, and there are other, let's just say 100 in other districts for easy math, 243 plus another 800, we got about 1,000 people, 1,000 students that are quarantined, estimate, and 7 of them are positive or became symptomatic in essence. Let me just make sure I'm reading that.
that's if the parents are responsible to get those kids properly tested.
So we are in a situation where almost no one is none of the quarantine. We're not demonstrating in the data that we have that quarantine, that the exposure, quote unquote, exposure in a classroom environment leads to positive cases. So the other option that we have, rather than masking everybody, is to treat it as endemic. And when we have somebody who tests positive by the PCR test, which again, many people question, then we inform the students, or the parents of the student, and let them know that's what happened. When I grew up here, I was gone for a while. My kids went to elementary school in Shaker Heights. When there was a disease, somebody had something in the classroom, we got back then, it was a paper notice, okay? But we were informed of what's going on. This is an endemic situation. COVID is here forever. If we're not going to be chasing our tails against it, we need to accept that we have personal responsibilities, and we need to let the parents decide how to move forward. That is a solution that I believe is much better for everyone involved. And this is the same
I do, I want to say something. I spent a lot of time.
Our options.
Just make sure that we're,
Just to make sure we're clear on the votes. The motion was made to go mass starting Monday through December 31st.
Yes.
And the nay votes will equate to maintaining current policy of optional mass.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yes, I believe it is our duty to actually have a vote on this issue so that we can put this to rest.
All right, then Mr. Fletcher, call the roll, please.
John Hart,
Nay.
Linda Grassi,
I
Tom Hack,
nay.
Lori Krebitsky,
Nay.